Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing our Myth Realized Blue-White control deck once again, and this time we are playing against a zoo deck. So let's get underway, shall we? Let's see. So we start off with a series of bad mulligans. I don't really like keeping this hand, as it's only got one blue source. We're on a play, I believe, so seems a little awkward. Triple Snapcast is also not particularly good when we don't have any other spells, or not any cheap spells. So I decided to ship this back. We get an even worse hand. One island, and I mean, I suppose we could get Think Twice going if we draw another land, but if we don't, this is pretty horrible. So I'm going to go into 5, which is never a good thing. But it's got 3 lands, some spells that are fairly late game spells, but just have to run with it. Just lead off with a Hallowed Fountain. Opponent corrects a Windswept Heath, Temple Guards into Wild Nicol. Just play Calciform Pools and pass the turn. Opponent attacks is obviously very good. I'm just going to pass the Nicol here, save me 3 damage. Opponent has a Loam Line. Fortunately, it's slightly less scary, but he's still a threat. It puts down to 18, but doesn't do anything on the turn, which is nice. No additional creatures. I'm drawing to some lands, which is definitely what we wanted to see. And I'm going to drop my Jace here, I believe. And -2 it because I don't want to have it just die to Bolt. I mean, I can +1, and then he gets to attack, and then some combination of Bolt and something else could probably kill it. So it's actually because we +1 that he would have had a slightly weaker Loam Line, or he could have used a Rampager. Maybe I should have +1, but I just didn't want to be in a situation where I got no value off my Jace Architect of Thought. But yeah, maybe the +1 would have been better. Could have survived maybe a little bit longer, or at least distracted a bit more attention away from my life total. But front splits into Myth Realized, Mana Leak, and Path to Exile. Kind of want Path to Exile, but Myth Realized is actually pretty good, and 2 cards is better than 1 in general, so I ended up picking that. But Mana Leak isn't going to come in particularly useful, so perhaps we should have taken the Path. Cracks a fetch, gets a Sacred Foundry. With another fetch, attacks me for Jace for 2. So at the very least, Jace saved me some damage and dropped me a couple of cards. Up as an experiment 1. Just going to drop this Myth Realized into play. Cast a Path on our opponent's turn, which could potentially get us 2 creatures if we can block Snapcaster. So that's what we're going to do. Snapcaster, Path, block the experiment 1, and I'm looking to Path. Which works out nicely. We draw Wall of Omens, which is good. Only deck of which we're happy to have Wall of Omens than say a Remand in the same position, so definitely a place where Wall of Omens shines in this kind of matchup. Draw a Dismember as well. Kind of got to be careful with our life total, but I think could well be worth dismembering one of his creatures in the right circumstances. If I attacks, we block with Wall of Omens. He's going to try and Rampager it. I decided that it's worth dismembering. It takes slightly more damage than we would have done, but I think he ends up wasting a card and loses his only creature that he currently has on board, and I think that works out pretty well, and we get to keep our Wall of Omens as a blocker for any future creatures. Opponent drops could put a storage counter on this Calciform Pools. Opponent takes the opportunity to bolt me. Goes down to 1 card in hand. Myth realised. Another Myth realised. So we're actually racking up some fairly dangerous creatures. Opponent has a Goblin Guide, and he's going to attack with both his guys. Reveal a Glacial Fortress off the Goblin Guide, which is nice, draws an extra card. Go activate my Myth Realised with the 3 counters on it. Unfortunately it gets hit with a path, so I'm going to take 2 here, but the opponent with 0 cards in hand, that's not the worst in the world. Flashback Think twice, which gets us an extra counter on the Myth Realised, and draws an extra card of course. And links though not the most exciting. So to take this opportunity here to use my Sphinx's Rev for 4. Might have been the wrong time to use it. I probably could have saved it for a little later on, particularly given that we've got Calciform Pools. But just wanted to draw some answers, and thought that would hopefully be enough against his guys, but it's a little bit dangerous, particularly if he runs some number of haste guys. Could end up regretting that decision. So yeah, he tries a Goblin Guide, which too happy with the Sphinx's Rev, as we're just going to lose that life straight back. But I suppose that's not the worst position to be in. And now we're racking up our Myth Realised. We've also got Path to Exile. We've got Cryptic as well. So feeling in a fairly powerful position. One goes for a Goblin Guide, another Goblin Guide. I'm going to Cryptic that and draw, which assigns me a Snapcaster, which is really nice. Opponents can attack with everything, but we can block with one with the Wall of Omens, block another with the Myth Realised, and then we've got Path to kill the final one, so that puts us in a pretty nice position overall. So not going to be left with a great deal after this. Path the unblocked creature, and our opponent concedes because he's just in a really bad position from there on out. I mean, it's possible he draws a load of burn spells, I suppose, so he isn't just dead, but he is in pretty dire shape, it has to be said. And particularly I would have probably ended up Snapcastering Sphinx's Rev at some point, after probably building up the Calciform Pools, so certainly the long game favours me, I think. And yeah, I think that would have worked out pretty well for us overall, but slightly early concession, but I think we put ourselves in a fairly dominant position to win that. So let's go on to game 2. Let's get rid of that. So this air opener, not too bad. We've got Path. I think it's actually twice to draw a little deeper, and then we've got Snapcaster as well, so we can remove potentially 2 creatures with this 1 Path. So that's nice. Got these off for the Curd Ape. Off a Stomping Ground, so that's going to be a 2/3. For a Wall of Omens, which is another nice one in this. Attacks for 2. It's down to 18. There's a Goblin Guide. Could have passed. I think I'm better off preserving my life by not cracking and getting a Hallowed Fountain, and just going to run out the Wall of Omens here as a roadblock for our opponent. Got Supreme Verdict, which would be nice to get rid of multiple threats. Hopefully he'll commit a few more creatures to the board. Goblin Guide reveals Mana Leak, which isn't particularly useful. She decided some number of those out, or maybe all of them out, but I don't think we have a ton of more cards I want to bring in this matchup. Decided to pass here, but maybe I should have just gone for the Verdict instead and saved the path. Probably would have been the better play, I guess, but I think I was just being a bit anxious about my life total. And we've still got Snapcaster for the Snapcaster path play. for Timely, which is one of the cards in our sideboard, which really as well. Can work out really nicely. Attacks again. This time it gives us a land. Just going to Snapcaster Path the guide. Punbolt's the Snapcaster, so we're not going to be able to start attacking hidden, but I still feel like that worked out fairly well. One plays in the Cottle. I'm going to take time to play Timely now. Could have verdicted, but I just really want to try and make him commit some more to the board for the verdict. So he's only got one card in hand, so maybe that was maybe it would have been better to actually just verdict off in the Cottle, because I could have blocked with all my soldiers here, but I feel like that plays badly into a Ghor-Clan Rampager or something, so I figured I was better off chumping and just buying myself more and more time to build up my resources. I can attack with a soldier here because I might as well. I'm just going to be chumping my opponent's Nacatl probably. Goes for the Rampager. Don't particularly need to do anything about that, so just take the damage here. Run another Timely and the Spellskite as well, which is another actually good card. Well, it isn't doing a great deal. Either doesn't have any more creatures or doesn't want to commit any more. Which is just smart play really. It's played well around our mass removal spells. We're going to play another Timely, go all the way back up to 19 and feel fairly good about our position. Maybe should have just tried to trade off these soldiers earlier, but I feel like we've bought a lot of time by just jumping and occasionally attacking. Also we can Snapcaster Timely if he plays another creature. Bolts the soldier. Go to try and block with my Colonnade, which maybe I should have started doing earlier, or maybe I should have started attacking with it earlier. But unfortunately our opponent has Rending Volley, which is sort of the new combust, as it were, out of Dragons of Tarkir. Yeah, which I've seen quite a few people playing, and is a good way to deal with a Colonnade, so it is something to watch out for. So we're going to get hit for 3 here, which isn't devastating, to be quite honest. We maybe even could have started getting quite aggressive with our soldier tokens if we wanted, but I think the conservative play was better. So we draw a Path, which makes me just want to run out of Spellskite, which we probably could have played earlier as well. I'm not sure I played this the best, but it does work out in my favour really. I've bought a lot of time in general. Spellskite unfortunately gets hit with a Revelry, which it's not too devastating for us. We'll pass on the Cottle and see what our opponent got. Just have a Rampager. I draw an Architect. I'm going to verdict away. We've got another verdict, so not too concerned about that. Just going to play Jason, tick it up. Just so it doesn't die to Bolt or something after I -2 it, because I feel like I can keep it fairly safe. And then our opponent concedes, obviously not seeing a way out of the situation. Felt pretty strongly in control. We've still got 14 life. We've dwindled his resources. I assume he's probably run out of creatures or something to prompt the concession. But we've still got a lot of answers to creatures in here. I could have Snapcaster Path, and then we've just got Jace, which is going to draw me a lot of cards probably, if he allows me to just keep using it. So worked out pretty well. Had a fairly dominant game against Zoo. Not sure it would always work out this way. Zoo is quite an aggressive deck, but we just have the tools and the answers to the questions that it poses, and I think in general we can handle Zoo.